Yo, what's going on YouTube? It's Phoenix0 here. In today's video, I'll be talking about what I think the Five Nights at Freddy's chapter will look like in Dead by Daylight. Now, before we begin, let me just say that I'm a huge fan of Five Nights at Freddy's and Dead by Daylight, so this is like a dream collab come true for me. I'm so happy that it's finally in the game. So for that reason, I will try to stay as faithful to Dead by Daylight and Five Nights at Freddy's lore as possible when talking about the chapter. I also did get help when making this chapter from Dragon's Fire 212, so go follow him if you haven't already. But enough about that, let's get on with the chapter. Now, I think out of all the 14,605 animatronics they could take, half of which is just Freddy variants, there are two animatronics that I think are most likely to be the killer. One being the most talked about choice, which I made this entire concept around, and another one I don't really see people talking about, which I might make another concept for them, but I'll get onto that in a minute. Now, the first killer I made this concept for is Springtrap. But I mean, everyone said this. Now, it was hard figuring out how his power would work because everyone covered this killer and I didn't want to copy anyone else's powers one to one. But I think I did make something that works not only gameplay wise but lore wise as well. Real quick, let me talk about his appearance and what his weapon will be. I think he will look close to his game version, but with a little Dead by Daylight twist, you know, maybe like some sort of chains or something is strapped to him. I also think he won't have a weapon. Now, I know FNAF fans will say, actually he could have used a knife to kill his victims, or possibly an axe from that one Five Nights at Freddy's song. And while I do agree with some of those points, since that we never actually see Springtrap use a weapon in the games, I'll just keep it to him punching survivors. So he will have a slight buff from the entity. Nothing crazy, but just enough to where he isn't too weak because he doesn't have that much power in the game. Now, I was also going to explain his lore to people, just so for the people that do not know him or his lore, they could understand why I chose some of his powers. I ultimately decided against it after seeing many people complain about Five Nights at Freddy's fans explaining everything to newcomers, so I decided not to spoil the lore. But I will tell you where he got his powers from, while trying not to spoil anything, because I love you guys. Pause. But yeah, he basically got all of his powers from, like, FNAF 3's gameplay. That's all I'm going to say. In Dead by Daylight, Springtrap will be a tall killer that moves 4.5 meters per second and has a 32 meter terror radius. And in the game, he will be referred to as the Attraction. Main ability, Relish in Agony. Press the power button to go into stealth mode. While in stealth mode, Springtrap will have the undetectable status effect permanently unless he is observed for a period or performing an attack. He also gets a 1.2 meter per second boost to his movement speed in the state. Stealth mode removes the basic attack. There are 3 systems that the survivors need to worry about in the trials, each with their own agony meter: ventilation, sight, and hearing. Each are randomly filled 0 to 15% at the start of the trial, and will need 100 agony points to cause a negative status effect permanently until the system is repaired by a survivor using a new item, which I'll get onto in a moment. If one system's agony meter is filled, the survivor will get a negative status effect from the corresponding system that is down. But if more than one is filled, they'll suffer the negative status effects of the downed systems, and an event called Phantom Onslaught will go into its first tier and its final tier if all 3 are down, which again, I'll get onto in a moment. Also, you can see which systems are down above the killer icon, and the icon will change depending on how many are down. Here's the showcase of that now. But you may be asking, what are these new systems and how do I even repair them as a survivor? Well, in order to repair these systems, you'll need a new special item, the maintenance panel. The maintenance panel will spawn around the map for the survivors to find. The survivors can repair the systems with the maintenance panel. When selecting one system, the survivors need to complete difficult skill checks to reduce the agony meter of the selected system by 5%. When selecting the Reboot All option, the survivors need to complete difficult skill checks to reduce the agony meter of all systems by 2.2%. The survivors can see the aura of the maintenance panel. Springtrap can relocate the panel by pressing on it when it's on the ground, causing it to respawn in a different location. Only one maintenance panel can spawn at a time. Healing. If the healing system's agony meter is filled, the survivors suffer from the deafened status effect until it is fully repaired. If the sight system's agony meter is filled, the survivors suffer from the blindness status effect until it is fully repaired. And if the ventilation system's agony meter is filled, the survivors suffer from the hindered status effect until it is fully repaired. But how do you get agony points as the killer? Special ability, Sinister Observation. While in stealth mode, press the power button to observe survivors within 40 meters. The agony meters will fill up by 2.5 points per survivor for a max of 20 points. While in stealth mode, survivors will not be highlighted in a color until you drained all their agony, in which they'll be highlighted in a bright purple color. You'll not be able to collect any more agony with the power until they return to normal, which takes around 40 seconds. While in stealth mode, you can lean around corners. Looking at survivors while leaning doubles the points to 5 points per second. Special ability, Vengeful Assault. While in stealth mode, press and hold the attack button for 2 seconds to launch a lunge attack. Hitting a survivor successfully fills all agony meters by 10 points. If you miss, you'll be stunned for 2 seconds before moving again. Special effect, Agony Absorption. Successful basic attacks on survivors make them drop agony that Springtrap absorbs, adding 1.5 points to the agony meters. And last but not least, special effect, Phantom Onslaught. When 2 or more systems are down, Phantom Onslaught activates. This has 2 tiers. When 2 systems are down, Phantom Onslaught Tier 1 activates. A new NPC spawns on the map in the form of Phantom Freddy, Chica, or Foxy from FNAF 3. Only one can spawn at a time in Tier 1, randomly spawning near a survivor that isn't in chase. When a Phantom spawns near a survivor, they'll have 2 states. In their first state, they'll be passive, following and watching the survivor from a 10-meter distance. Then after 20 seconds, they'll enter their second state, where they'll behave sort of like Night Guards. They'll chase survivors going 5 meters per second for a 40-second duration. After the 40 seconds, they'll disappear and go into a 2-minute cooldown before spawning again near another survivor. If they hit a survivor, the survivor will not lose a health state, but they'll scream, revealing their location to the killer. If all system goes down, Tier 2 activates. It works the same as the first, except all 3 will spawn, and instead of waiting 20 seconds to chase the survivor, it will now be 10. Phantoms can go through pallets and windows, taking 0.55 seconds. If a survivor jumps at a locker, the Phantoms will still know where they are. Phantoms can't hit someone in the new items menu and will despawn. Oh, that was a lot to take in. Now, I don't know what to do for the add-ons for Springtraps, considering that this concept is, very new, and I don't really have a lot of time to think about it since that I'm trying to get this video out. So if you have any ideas for add-ons for this possible power, or have any ideas on how to change it slightly to make it maybe be a bit more balanced, or you know, you have a better idea for some of the powers, let me know in the comments. But as for the perks, me and Dragonfire had some decent ideas for them. Springtrap's first perk, Echoes of Anguish. When a survivor screams, the killer gets 2, 4, or 6 seconds of haste. This perk has a 40-second cooldown. Springtrap's second perk, Hex Defective Equipment. Survivors' items lose 10, 15, or 20% of their charges at the start of the trial, and is taken to the Hex. When the Hex is destroyed, the charges are restored to all item affected by this. And Springtrap's third perk, Dark Truth. When survivors open a chest, they suffer from a random status effect for 10, 20, or 30 seconds and will scream, making a noise notification. Now before we get onto the map and Survivor, I'll quickly mention other possible killers I don't see many people talking about and would fit perfectly with Dead by Daylight, and is my personal second choice if we do not get Springtrap. And that animatronic is Balloon Boy! In all seriousness, I think it's probably Golden Freddy as the second most likely choice. Because if you do not know, the Golden Freddy is one of, if not the most important character in the Five Nights at Freddy's lore, period. But I won't say the lore of the character or spoil who it is, but just know that they have some serious abilities in the Five Nights at Freddy's lore. And FNAF fans who are watching this video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So it wouldn't be hard to transfer those powers over to Dead by Daylight, or possibly giving them new powers. And the lore wouldn't be that confusing either, which again, I will not say. So the Dead by Daylight fans do not hate me in the comments. But my guess is still Springtrap. But if I could choose a different killer besides Springtrap, it would be Golden Freddy. But enough about the killer. Let's get on to the Survivor. So the new Survivor in the Dead by Daylight Five Nights at Freddy's chapter is Michael Afton. Now, I know I said I wasn't going to take the movie version, which this isn't the movie version of Michael Afton. It's just going to have the looks of the movie version of Michael Afton, because we don't really have a good look of the Michael Afton from the games. So I had to mix those two together. Just so they don't reveal the canon game look of Michael Afton in a totally different game, because I don't think that Scott would do that, but you never know. Anyway, let's get on to their perks. Their first perk, Secrets Revealed. When a survivor is put into the dying state, reveal the aura of the killer for 2, 3, or 4 seconds. This perk has a 60-second cooldown. Second perk, Boon Observation. When a boon is destroyed by the killer, their aura is revealed to survivors for 2, 3, or 4 seconds. Now their third perk, which is the longest perk here, I'm pretty sure, is Sound Illusion Disc. When stunning or blinding the killer, gain a new special item called an audio disc. When activating the disc will drop on the floor and stay there. When leaving a 10-meter range of this disc, a prompt will come up telling you to activate it. Pressing the ability button again will cause a fake scream from the disc and a noise notification for the killer. Whenever you scream and an audio disc is in use, it will automatically activate. It will not take up a normal item slot. You can relocate it by picking it up, and this has a 50, 40, or 30 second cooldown before activating again. Okay, so we got the killer and we got the survivor. But what about the map? I don't think it will be a one-to-one map from the games, because the layout would be dreadful for the survivors and killer. So I had to get a little bit creative with this one. But I think, personally, it will be sort of a mix between Badham and Haddonfield. Yay. Where there will be a main building, which is a variation of Five Nights at Freddy's Freeze, Fazbear's Frights, and a small town with a couple houses. A couple different variants I can see for this map is maybe the FNAF 1 and 2 locations. A possible offering I can see is like a help wanted newspaper or a security badge, which I don't think I made for this video. I would love to see a bunch of Easter eggs in the map as well, which I'm sure they'll add a couple. Before I end the video as well, I would like to add a bonus segment for possible cosmetics I could see being in the game for them as well. Firstly, Springtrap will probably just get his other versions from the games, like Scrap Trap, Burn Trap, and maybe the movie version of William in his suit from the movie, but I mean that depends on what the movie looks like. As for Michael, I can definitely see his full movie version in the game. Also, Vanessa from the movies could be a cosmetic for Michael as well. And possibly more that I can't even think of. But with all that being said, this is the end of the video. If you guys made it this far, you're a legend. First of all, just know that. If there is anything you want me to change, or if you have any ideas for the powers or perks or anything like that, let me know in the comments below. But thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.